Hello everyone, Ceri Griffiths here. As you also know me, Ceri the Crafter. So, just wanted to introduce this video a little bit. Now, it's no surprise, you've read the title. It's about grid journaling. But I wanted to actually explain a little bit of a backstory about it before I started. Now, last year I had a comment from a subscriber. It was either a comment or a message, I can't remember which. And they did say to me, Ceri, what are your thoughts on grid journaling? And I was a little bit evasive. I basically said something along the lines of, I don't really have an opinion because I'm not really aware of it, or something like that. Anyway, and I was kind of aware of it, but I didn't feel that I knew enough about it to actually say it. So a few years ago, and I can't remember how long, I can't remember, and I've written details down for you just so that I remember who to credit and where to credit and why to credit. A few years ago, I came across Keely Ween Studios, Color Crush Creatives, Color Crush Creative by Keely Ween Studios. There's going to be a link to everyone I mentioned in the box below. Keely was the first one I saw who did grid journaling. She may not have been the originator. There's probably someone else somewhere as well. I don't know. But to me, she was the originator. And when I first saw it, I got really excited about it. Ooh, because of course I like things organized in boxes, straight square lines, all of that lot. And I got really excited about it and thought, right, I want to try this. So I didn't do it as a video. I wanted to try. I'm not going to be fool enough to do that. So I thought, right. So I did try it, and I created a double page spread of grid journaling. Diabolical disaster. I was so unhappy with it. I literally tore it up and threw it in the bin. It was just so, I didn't get it. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't get it. I don't even know that I know what I'm doing now, but back then, the person I was then and the person I am now as an artist or a creative person is quite different. Like back then, perfectionism really did rule the roost of my life. Now I've got it kind of under control to a certain degree. I was also struggling then to find my taste, or what appealed to me, what didn't. I was trying to emulate what other people did instead of just being inspired by it. There were lots of reasons, you get it. So my knee-jerk instinct was, can't do it, never do it, tear it up, throw it up, I'm not doing that ever again. However, periodically it's popped up in streams, and I'm beginning to see it quite a bit more popping up. Now, it could be that it's something I'm interested in, therefore the algorithm shows me what I'm interested in, but it could be something that's popping up again. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to try that again. So I did a bit more looking into grid journaling, because I thought my stumbling block was I watched a video, I thought I knew what I was doing, I did it, and I obviously didn't know what I was doing. So I thought, right, I want to try this again because there's something about it that's very appealing. It's multiple versions of a shape. I'm going to keep it loose in description because we all think grid journaling is squares, but grids, from what I can tell, could be circles, oblongs, mixtures of squares and rounds. It's multiple compartments on a page. I think it's possibly the way I'm interpreting it anyway. There's probably die-in-the-wall people out there like, no, it must be a grid, it must be a grid, must be a grid. And it may well be, it must be a grid, but that's not how I'm going to handle it because I'm going to get bored really quickly with it. So I did a bit of research, and these are the people who I've been watching. So, okay, so we've already said Keely. There's BB Henry Art. There's Jackie Schomburg, which is abstract art and creative wellness. I think that's what that says. Can't read my writing, isn't that sad? And Jackie Bernardi of Painted Paper Studio. I will put a link to each of their channels below this description. So underneath here, where the title is, the start of the description, there's probably the bold word more, M-O-R-E, in bold letters. Click on that, it should open up. I'll put a link to their channels there because they've done it. They do it more than I would do it, and they have different reasons than I have for doing it. They use it to get themselves out of the rut. They use it to explore color combinations. They use it to reinvigorate their creativity. They use it to play around with maybe a limited palette. But from what I can tell, It can be done with paint, with ink, with texture. It can be done with almost anything you can do it with. So I thought, right, and now that I'm more of a rounded mixed media artist, creative, content creator, whatever you want to name me, stick a label on me, that's fine. I think I probably am now in a better headspace to attempt this again. It's a bit like neurographic art. You know, I tried that, hated it, didn't work for me. But it didn't work for me at the time. You never know, in the future I may have another go at it and it'll work for me then. But as I think I've said in previous videos, as we develop our skills, we grow as artists and creative people, and therefore our visual library changes as to how we do it, what we do it. Our knowledge of product and techniques change. So I want to have another go. Now, if you've been watching me or you're a subscriber to me, you will know I tend to compartmentalize my art and hop between them. So there's a collage journal. There's several art journals. There's a doodle journal. There's a watercolor journal. Gosh, what else is there? There's a square journal. You get it. So I like that, because then what I do is I don't have to pick up one big art journal and go, what will I do today, Ceri? I pick up a journal and go, oh, this is my collage journal. Let's do some collage. Oh, wait, I'm in the mood to do watercolors. Let's pull out the watercolor journal. But that's just the way it works for me. Literally, me. That's how it works for me. I know multiple other people do it in multiple different ways, but for me, that's how I have found that I keep my interest peaked. I keep the momentum going in my creativity. So I went, right, we need a journal. Now, I looked online because I thought, right, I could do it in a recycled book, I could do it in a sketch pad, whatever, but I wanted something that isn't just a sketch pad that's got flimsy paper. I wanted something that maybe if I play with different mediums would be a bit thicker. So I thought, right, I looked around and looked around for a mixed media art journal. They're expensive. Well, the ones I was looking at were, anyway, I went, okay, Ceri, you can do this. Why am I looking for a journal? Make a darn journal. So I have a cinch machine. It's one of those ones that punches the holes and then, you know, the spirals, it squashes them together so you have a spiral bound or a ring bound. You'll know it when you see it. Don't ever ask me to demonstrate it in a video. I'm not good at it. There are plenty of other people out there doing them. There's a mini cinch, there's a normal cinch. People use them all the time. I'm not the one to demonstrate you. My head gets a bit lost as to which way covers need to go and where the alignment of holes are. It takes me a while. It wouldn't be attractive watching me struggle. So I made myself, it's as naked as I can possibly make it. But the reason I did this is I was in TK Maxx, which is a store here in Britain, and I was looking for journals because I thought, you know, they sometimes have art supplies, and they had a whole art pad full of mixed media paper, which was, well, it was at least twice this size, like a big sketch pad, and it was reduced from £14.99 to £3.50, and I went, really? So I just bought it, cut the pages to size, put them into this, and actually made myself a journal for my grid journaling in whatever format it comes to going forward. Now, it may take me weeks, months, even years to fill this journal, but now it has a home. It's like my other ones. It then marks my development in that field. It means I can go back to it, I can refer to it. The cover is just grey board. Some people call it chipboard, I think, in America. I will be collaging onto that. I will decorate it. I will do everything as I can as I go along. But it's mixed media paper. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to flip the camera over, show you a couple of ways to actually create the grid in the first place, because I was quite surprised how loose people were with it. I can't do loose, but it's just not going to happen. So just know that I'm a lot more structured at the moment. So I've made templates for myself because that calms my headspace down. And then I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try and do it with you. I don't know how long the video will be. I need to remember that open space is powerful. I need to remember that not every square or shape needs to have the same thing as everyone else in. It is about the whole spread being a collection of miniature little pieces of art. Miniature and little is probably a contradiction. Little pieces of art, all on a similar theme. Although in saying that, you could do every square differently. And I think I like the fact that there's a lack of rules, or at least the way I am personally interpreting it, there's a lack of rules. So let's turn this camera over. Let's take a bit of a close-up look. I'm going to use as my core theme, I'm going to use one of my arty painted book pages I've done recently. So I need to pull one of those out that's speaking to me, and I'll probably let that dictate the color scheme as well. So thanks for letting me drivel on. Let's flip the camera over and see if I can get this done within an hour. If not, you may just be in for a bit longer video. If there are repeated processes like outlining boxes and stuff like that, I will pause, go to get them done, and then come back to you, because you don't, after I've done 1 or 2, you don't need to see 14 of them done, if that's how many I'm doing. So see you on the flip side, guys. Bye now. So here we are at the overhead. I know someone's going to ask me, so I'm going to give you measurements now. Not that it matters what the measurements are, but I know you'll ask. So this is 8.25 inches by 11.75 inches, approximately 21 centimeters by, I'd say that's probably, let's just say it's about 3 notches off 30 centimeters. And these are a 1-inch cinch binding on them. And that's as much as I can tell you. Right, let's go to the back, because luckily enough, I saved the previous grid that I'd created. This was a bit of craft paper. I stuck packaging tape over it just to give it some longevity. Then I marked it all out and cut it. And then when I made this one, I made another one. So I got a piece of, this was just, what was this? It was just a bit of thin card. I think it was off a craft pad. And I made it the same size as the page, from there to there to there. And then just put grids on it and cut it out. So I will use this as my template for there and there. And then this one, I could actually have rectangles. This one is a bit smaller, as you can see, but you know what? I can eyeball that. I can eyeball the height. Also, I didn't realize I can do them this way and put another row at the bottom. So you can play around. And as I do this more, I will get more confident about flipping between maybe a combination of rectangles and squares, or maybe I'll do heart shapes, or maybe I'll do circles, or maybe do honeycomb, lots of different things like this. But we're going to stay with the squares today. But I think in future I need to embrace the fact that I don't need a template, but currently I do. I have seen the people who I mentioned, I've forgotten already who it is. The people I mentioned in the description box below, quite a few of them will just get a pad of sticky notes or post-its, and they will put it down and draw it around it, and they will just eyeball it. I can't do that. That ain't going to work for me. I just haven't got, that's not going to happen. So I need to mark these out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match this up to the edges of my paper page. I'm just going to take a pencil, and I'm very lightly going to draw around each of them. Now, I'm only drawing around them lightly at this instance because I'm going to come in immediately and take a permanent marker and then put a black line around them. Now, you're probably saying, well, why don't I do it straight away with a permanent marker? Because I don't want these squares to be so regimented that I draw them with a ruler. I want to actually do them so that I freehand them after I've taken the template away, and then I'm going to erase that line. And I know it may not seem, it seems like a bit of wasted effort, but to me it means that the boxes or the grid will have more of an organic shape because I will have freehanded the square. So I'm going to just finish this one off. As I said, as this journal develops, maybe I won't use a grid. I mean, I have seen somebody, and I can't remember their name, who didn't use this. They actually cut out a card, like a 1-inch square, a 2-inch square, a 3-inch square, a 4-inch square, and they just chose the one they wanted and they drew around that. So people are a lot more free about it than I am. So I'm just going to pull in a marker, where have I got a marker? This is a 0.8 permanent water and fade proof uni pen. So I'm just going to draw the first square to show you what I mean, and then I'm going to stop you and I'm going to do all of them and erase the pencil lines. So for me to be able to now draw this means that I can draw it without getting hung up on it. And I know it sounds weird, and I don't mind it's gone over the corner there, because when the pieces are finished, I'm actually going to draw another line around them as well, because as you know, I like to do double lines. So once that's dry, then I just come in with an eraser and I will just go around and erase the whole of the pencil line. So that's how I'm going to prepare for this one. And here I'm done, it's all prepped. Now, just as an example, if I'd have messed that line up that much, even 2 years ago, believe me, this would have been ripped up, thrown away, and I would have started again because my perfectionism kicked in. But I'm trying, as I said, to embrace. Now, I'm going to put a couple of cookie sheets under each of these, because I'm going to have to use water and potentially some wet mediums, and I'd rather it not soak through to the page beneath. This is mixed media paper, but I haven't prepared it with gesso or anything. This is just the way it is. So I think the first thing I do is, this is the piece that I'm going to use as the elements of collage that I'm going to put into it. Again, remember, it doesn't have to go into all, can only go into some, could be, and this is going to be my inspiration, I think, for also the palette of colours I'm going to use. But new purchase, I've seen nearly everyone who do grid journaling does something with, I think it's Stadler or Stadler pencils that are a water-soluble graphite pencil. I couldn't find them on the internet other than abroad, but I know Faber-Castell is a brand I know. So thank you to those who did super thanks with me. It was really lovely, because now I've bought a set of these. This will probably rest of my life this is done. So I don't know whether I'm supposed to do any sort of different colours. I'm going to use number 6. So something I've seen them do, I would normally hold my pencil here. Apparently you hold it at the other end, because that gives you freedom. Do I have to stay in the box? No, I don't. Am I going to try and stay in the box? Me being me, probably yes. But it's literally, you just need to do something that works for you. As I said, there is no definite pattern. I think I quite like that one done as well. Try not to decide what to do. It's so hard doing this. Right, I need to get myself a paintbrush. I think that one will do it. Right. And I'm just using plain water. I need to do, and I've got a bit of kitchen towel here, because I want my brush wet, but I don't want it sodden. And then I'm just going to come in. Obviously, I need it a bit wetter than that. I'm going to come in and wet this line just to smear it around a bit. This brush doesn't seem to hold a lot, or maybe it's just me. I've also pulled out my travel hairdryer, because I am going to have to dry these in between. Right. I've not used, as I said, I've not used this before, so I'm hoping I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with these charcoal pencils. This is what I've seen other people do anyway. That one's not working for me up there, but I think it's possibly because I need to spread it around a bit. So let me know in the comments whether you've discovered grid journaling. Also, if you've got someone else you follow who I mean, there's lots of people doing grid journaling. So, I mean, even I know Marguerite Miller, because, you know, I did Marguerite Miller's collage challenge, well, must be 2 years ago now. Even I know that even Marguerite Miller does collage into squares. So it doesn't need to be paint as I'm doing it. It could be anything you choose. And I think for me, like my dump art journal, this is just going to be a play journal. And we all know that I believe that play is one of the roots of creativity. So for me, having somewhere where I can just experiment, and that's fine. That's what I want to do. That helps me grow. So this one is just annoying me. I need to put a bit more pencil work into there. Don't ask me why. It wasn't working for me. There you go. That's probably a bit better now. Right. Also, another thing I have to sort of have in the back of my mind is trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. Because this is very process driven, and the results will come through doing the process. Okay. I'm going to have to hit this with a hairdryer for a few seconds. Am I? Yes, I am. So let me pause you and I'll be back in 2 seconds. So I think we're dry enough. It's not completely 100% dry, but it's dry enough, I think, for what I want to do, because I'm pretty much going to be mixing up which squares I work in anyway. Now, I'm going to use a glue stick to glue down, which is this brand for myself. I often get requests to say, which is your favourite glue stick? This is the one that works for me. It works for me because I'm in Britain. I'm used to this in my humidity or wetness or dryness here in Wales. Also, I'm quite heavy-handed with the glue stick. I think wherever you are, buy a selection of glue sticks and see which ones work for you. I think a lot of the secret for me is I'm quite heavy-handed with the glue stick, as I said, so I very rarely have things peel off. And if it starts to peel off, there's always out little glue. So I'm going to put pieces of this down. Now, I'm not overly worried about the orientation of the written words in there. However, I do know if it's upside down, it's probably going to bother me. So therefore, I'm probably not going to do upside down. So I'm going to tear up pieces of this. I want it to fit within the square. I don't know whether that's a prerequisite, but for me, it pretty much is going to be a prerequisite. And over to this side, I've just got, actually, I'll probably fit it there while I'm doing this, just got some magazine pages that I'm using to glue upon. So just because I like to, when I've harvested magazines, if there's anything left from a magazine that I haven't harvested, usually becomes part of my gluing surfaces. So now I do want to make sure that I've got straight edges of the torn pieces, because of course it's a square in this instance, but without getting hung up on it. Let's move you to one side. I'm going to be gluing over there, guys. It's going to get on my nerves, so I'm doing it over there. And I think I'm going to use a store card instead. Right, quite like this bit. So yes, it's something, I'm a bit like a little terrier, let's put it that way. I tend to not give up on something until I've absolutely exhausted it with the attempts I've got going for it. And also, if I find something I can't do or I don't enjoy, I don't go, oh, I'll never do that again. What I do is I actually wait my time, and I wait until I feel that I'm at a point where I do need to do it. Let's bring in my little trimmer. You could obviously use the scissors to do this. I'm just using this little guillotine. I like this brand. I saw Nicole at Relax Cut Glue using this, and I love it. It's cute. I know it doesn't work for everyone. Some people are like, oh, it doesn't cut straight, whatever. It depends on your method of cutting and whether you leave the guard on it, whether you take the guard off it, however you wish to do it. For me, I have no problems with it. I like my little trimmer. It's a lot less cumbersome than having the big guillotine on my desk. But I'm trying not to be organised. And you know me, I will go through this and actually line things up, and I'd have to create patterns, and that's what I'm trying to get away from, which is the tricky thing, which, you know me, I like to challenge myself. So, but I thought this would be a fun thing to work at together. It just intrigues me. As I said, it interests me. That's not an interesting enough piece. Let's get another piece of this out. Oh, the sun's coming out. Hello, sunshine. We've had some horrible weather here. It was, to be honest with you, this morning, I actually, when I took the dog out, I thought there was going to be frost on the ground. It was that cold. Right, now I don't have to do it in every one of them, but I do want it in the majority of stuff. Quite like this bit here. I want to chop it down a bit. Where's that gone? Is that going to fit? That might fit actually. Let's not chop that down any more than I have to. Let's put it on you. Now I think as I go along doing these, I may take you along on the journey with, depending on how much you enjoy it, along on the journey with some of them, but I won't always take you along on the journey because, as you know, I do like to create without you. So not that I don't love you to bits, but I think you also need to respect the time where if you want to create alone, having the camera pointed at you, it can be a lot of pressure, guys. It can be a lot of pressure. I think I've pretty much done what I intend. I just want to have a little look at this to see whether it's what I want. Right. I think I'd quite like to put something in that one. Which way of these words? That way. Let's just chop. Now I could have put the pieces in the middle, but for me, I'm enjoying putting them on the edges because it's helping me visually define where I'm putting stuff. And I know I'm trying to be free, but it's a square at the end of the day, and it's got edges, so I might as well enhance them. I'm going to put this so that it's in line where the line should be, not where my wavering hand decided to take a turn for the worst. That'll do. So I think that's a good place to be. Right, all of these scraps here will go back into the scrap drawer, with the exception of that piece because it's too small. I don't keep things that are tiny. So these will go back into the painty page drawer, so that's fine. So where am I up to? Right, now I did want to play with a product I haven't enjoyed. I know that sounds a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? It's a big word. And it was these distress crayons. I bought a couple of sets of them, as you can see. I tried them. I didn't get on with them. Maybe I didn't understand them. I don't know what it was. I just didn't get on with them. Some of them I even turned it and took some of them out and broke them down into pieces, because then when I was traveling or away on holiday, I could take some with me without carrying the whole pen. So I need to pull out colours that I think will work. I think that lime colour will work. I think the brown colour will work. Obviously an orange. So see on the yellow I've got. Maybe a yellow. So yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't get on with these. Probably it's the same thing as the pencil. It just didn't feel right to me. And also I think also it wasn't a point. So I'm just going to come in and add stuff. Now these are water soluble or water reactive, and even when they're dry, I believe they stay water reactive, so I have to be a little bit aware of that. I don't want to do all of the white ones. Let's put that by for a second. Let's come in with the yellow one. Yeah, I struggled when it was not to a point. We'll be using white gesso with this in a bit, and I know that when I start adding the white gesso, it will also pick up some of this colour. It's funny because my brain wants to get a system going, like it has to be every third square, it has to be every second square, and then I'll work on the opposite one to mirror it. It's, yeah, we know about me. Just doing some mark making of some sort. Just put a circle in. I've got no circles anywhere. I like a circle. And some of this may actually get covered up. Oh, yeah, I'm just, I don't know. I've seen some great things done with these, and I'm not dishing anybody design wise for them. It's just I can't get a grip with this. Right, let's pull in that paintbrush again. And I always start with the lightest colour because the lightest colour means I don't have to clean my brush as much. And I don't mind if it doesn't solidify all the way across. That's got a waxy texture I'm okay with. As I said, we are going to be using some gesso over the top of these, just finger painting gesso. And what that should do is pick up some of the colour and seal it in. And I do like using my fingers with artwork, so we may be doing a bit more, let's say, finger painting in a second. Right, so I've got all of the yellows. Let's go on to the green, just so I can get that sorted. It's so... This is the sort of stuff I struggle with. But I love seeing the effects other people have. The other thing I'm going to really struggle with, besides spilling paint all over the place, is knowing when to stop, which I think was my problem the last time I did this. I didn't truly know when I should stop, so I kept adding and adding and adding, and I ended up with so much stuff that it actually just looked a mess. Right, I'm going on to the orange. But I think I've already said this in the video, it is so much fun allowing yourself to just make a mess. Be a child again. Play. Dip your fingers in. Get a twig. Rub the twig in some ink and play it across the surface. Just have a go. I'm going to do some of these black now. And the black was the thing that I thought might be a problem. Or it wasn't black, was I put brown, so I thought the brown may be too dark, but looking at this, I'm okay with what the black's doing. And I don't mind that that stays in there. That's actually part of the game plan. Right. I think I'm kind of happy with that so far. Now, I'm tempted to dry this now, but then I think I don't want to. I don't want to use any more of these. So let's get these out of the way. We'll see this again because this is a resource that's in my room that I've had these since Tim Holtz launched them. And I've used them about 3 times, which is obscene knowing the amount of money those sort of things cost. So you know what? They need to be used. Right, I'm going to pull out, this is just inexpensive white gesso. You could use white acrylic, and this is where I'm going to come in with the old finger painting thingy, and on each of them I'm just going to bring some white into it in some way. Not being uniform about it, just bringing in something. And I am putting it on reasonably thickly, and part of that is going to be because in a minute I'm going to potentially drag the end of a paintbrush through some of it. It's weird because this one and, well, the ones without the paper in just feel like they've been abandoned. And obviously they haven't. It's just the way it is. If there's something I'm noticing about this for myself, it's trying to view this as a collection instead of the individuals. And also, Ceri, it's okay to have blank space. I'm also hoping that because this is on there, it's kind of sealing in some of that movable medium that's on there. Oh, just contaminated my white gesso in a big way. Look, big old brown fingerprint in there. I'm going to take some of that out and put it over here. I've cleaned it off. Right, so I'm going to get the end of a paintbrush and I'm literally going to come in here and do some squiggly something just to give myself interest texturally. Probably doing too much, to be honest, but I'm okay with that. I'm having fun. It's nice to just, it's a nice day out through the window. I can see it out there, see the garden, although we are in fall or autumn as we call it here in the UK. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, this is definitely needs to dry. I'm wondering whether I want to, okay, I need to make a decision because I'm thinking if I close this book when it's dry, is it going to stick to each other? I think it possibly is. I'm going to take some of that out of there, that lovely texture I just put in. Actually, I quite like the texture it's creating though. Sort of a puckering type thing. Okay, that was a better idea than I thought that was going to be. I thought I was going to lose everything and I haven't. It's actually given me an extra element of texture. Let's put this down by before I put my hand in it. Right, definitely time to dry this. And I'm back. Well, it's not 100% dry, but it's certainly dry enough for me to handle. Now, I've got some of this Tim Holtz tissue paper. I could be using napkin. I just wanted to add some detail into it, and I was thinking I was going to stamp. But then when I remembered I had this, I thought, why stamp when I can use some of this? I want pieces, right? I know I had some scraps. There you go. Scraps. And I'm looking for things like this number here or this piece here. Just, I want to put things down that don't have to make sense, but might make sense. So that sort of stuff. So, where can I put this? Let's put a little pile of it there. Just so I can find things that will work for me. I seem to be focusing on numbers. It's funny because I was actually thinking about using text. So strip of this off here. And what I'll do is I want to cut that so it's a straight edge. So I'm just going to use the scissors because I know that I'm never going to make that cut in my trimmer. That's another little bit for there. Is there anything here? I don't really want to put a butterfly in here. Not in this one. I mean, I use butterflies and dragonflies a lot because I like butterflies and dragonflies, but I don't have to use them. Nothing else on there I think I want to use. I don't mind this bit along here. That's sort of more the handwritten sort of text I was looking for. And again, I don't have to have it touching an edge, but if I choose to, I can. I don't want that bit there either. And I'm going to attach these with some heavy duty matte gel medium, purely because that's what I think this will need. Just a little bit of that on there. I don't need anything else. I don't want to add an insect. Don't want to add butterflies. I'll put that back in the tube afterwards, because goodness knows you don't need to watch me struggle with that. I wonder whether this got something else onto it. I'm wondering whether I should put in some more of the arty papers I had. Like that little number up there. And I think that might be enough of that. Yeah, let's just put those to one side because over there we go. Right, so this is the brand I'm using. Where is it? It's Amsterdam, I think. Amsterdam, and I'm only using this because I know that it's less likely to smear things around on me, although it is drying up in here because I'm not using it fast enough. Right. So, as I said, I know things are likely to move around. So I just have to embrace that. If I go quiet, guys, it's just because Ceri's thinking. Not something I do that often. I can see how this could become very, very addictive. You could easily lose yourself in this, which I think is not a bad thing to do. I did want something quite big down there. I do know a couple of artists who do this grid journaling to restart their creativity. So if they've been on a break, or is the word hiatus? I think it might be hiatus. It's either a hiatus or that's a medical condition, or is that hernia? You know what I mean. They would use it to restart their creative process. And it again goes back to just needing to play. Come on, get stuck down, will you? Now, there's a couple of more on here. I'm wondering whether I then want to make a decision about, do I add a little bit more of the collage stuff that I had? Which I might do, actually. Now, you could, after you've done this, cut this up. I mean, I'm not, because if I'm going to do it in a journal, I'm going to leave it in a journal. I mean, you could cut this up. I mean, you could pretty much do this masterboard style, I should imagine. Okay, there are a few places I feel need something, and I don't think I want it to be tissue, so I think I'm going to drag in my scraps. My hairdryer blew them all over the desk, so goodness knows where they are at the moment. Right. So I'll make that a straight line, just because I can. I think I also tried this once. In fact, I know I tried this once, where what I did is I used napkins and I collaged napkin into each of the square. I didn't so much call that grid journaling. It was just me putting stuff down on a page in a square format. And I did enjoy that, actually. I seem to remember I quite like the results of that, although I can't tell you where that is, because when I was planning this video, I thought, right, let's see if I can find any examples. Obviously, I was very thorough in obliterating everything I created in a journal, grid journal style, because I was so disheartened by it. But you know, we live and learn. I've got one of these spare. Let's put you by here. You seem to be flying around with no home at all. Let's give you somewhere to be. Right. This needs something. Maybe just orange. That's a heck of a lot of matte medium on there. I can see this journal could become chunky very quickly, but if it becomes chunky, no problem. I'll just take some pages out. I feel I'm getting into that danger zone where I'm beginning to add and add and add without a reason or a purpose for them being there. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I prefer not to get to that place where I got to before where I hated it. Currently, I'm not hating it. Right. Currently, however, I know it needs drying. So, right, it's going to be that time. Let's put that in the water. Let's get this dry. So this is dry now. It's as dry as it's going to be for this moment anyway. Now we know I'm going to have to redraw the frames. I told you in the beginning I wanted a double line frame, so that's not a problem. I now want to put something more in here as far as mark making. Now I could come in with paint pens and do it freehand, but what I'm going to do is I want some uniformity in my design. So these are 2 foam stamps I created with PM Artist Studio. I want to say that's sketchy dots and that's sketchy circles. You'll see as they come on. I want to do one in metallics and I want to do one in black. The black will be the finishing touch. Now, I do know that I need to mask off some areas that I don't want to overlap. So what I mean by that is I'm going to put down some sticky notes. I love sticky notes, as you know, for masking things off. So that means I won't go outside the box on that one. Let's do this one. This is a bit of a time-consuming process because I have to keep moving these sticky notes around because obviously they overlap. You could put the template down and stamp through the template again. It isn't my favorite thing because then I end up with paint all over my template, and half the time I then transfer it to the next print. Yeah. And I speak from doing like backgrounds and that on the gel plate because I tend to I get things, they travel, let's put it that way, they travel. So let's just prep a few of these though, because I can get these done with you here and I'll be quite happy about that. I'm not going to do every single square the same. It could be there's just going to be a hint of something in one of them, and maybe a hint of something in another one. And I can recycle these, obviously, because when the paint dries on them, then I've got a painty Post-it note. There's a novelty idea, isn't it? Right, there's 2 there. Right, this will all make sense, guys, the moment you see me doing it. You may even be one step ahead of me, know what I'm going to do. Right, I've got a little, I think it's a 3x2 or it's a very small gel plate anyway. I don't even know what brand this is. This is 2 3/4 by 4. I got this on eBay in an auction site, and it was when I was first starting out, and when it arrived I expected it to be bigger and thicker, and it wasn't, but you know, it works for me. Let's see, how far can you see? Right, so I'm going to use a metallic. I fancy a metallic on this. Sticky metallic. And I'm going to do the dots first of all. I don't want a lot of paint out because I can always add more. It's wasteful if I have too much. I'm just going to use a 4-inch brayer, and just brayer this out so it's a thin enough coat for me to pick up and stamp with. I'm going to use the sketchy dots first, as I said. So as you can see, I've got it on here. And hopefully I can stay within the confines of the bits I'm stamping. See, these are the size for an ATC. An ATC is an artist trading card, which is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So when I designed them small enough so they could be used for that, but inadvertently I designed them small enough so they could be used in this as well, which wasn't something I planned. But I like a tool that's multifunctional. Let's go across there. Now, once I take off the Post-it notes, or I call them Post-it notes, guys, because in America, I think these are called sticky notes, but to me, they're Post-it notes. It's a brand, but it's a brand that I know, so that's why I tend to call them Post-it notes. Right, let's take these off quite quickly so I can see where things are distributed, because I may want to do a couple of more pieces of that before I change to another color. Like, I think that one will need something. In fact, I'm darn sure this one needs something, right? Let's hope my paint isn't drying out. Well, it obviously is drying out, but let's hope it's not drying out too much. Yeah, that one definitely needs something. Is there enough wet paint? There is enough wet paint. No, I haven't been structured, have I? I was thinking, have I done bang, bang, bang? And I have done bang, bang, bang. But that's fine, because I'm doing the next bit. Right, I'm going to take a couple of seconds just to clean this up, because I want to use the same plate, and I want to use black next. So bear with me, back into. And then back again. Right, it's dry. I took the liberty of actually putting the sticky notes around the areas that didn't have any stamping, or where I felt I want the circles to go. Move down slightly so you can see. Actually, I don't really need this anymore till I'm done with the wet mediums. So I've got my little plate again, and I'm going to use Mars Black this time. And these are the sketchy circles that I'm going to use, because it'll repeat the circular pattern, but it'll have a more open effect. Now, again, with black, I know it dries quickly, so I'm going to do a little and then add a little more to it if I run out. Just make sure my thing is loaded up. You can always tell if you tilt it, you'll be able to see the light reflecting on it. So I'm going to come in, see that right down by there. So take that off so that I know where I'm at. I need to visually see what I'm doing on this one. Right, this one I'm conscious has pretty much nothing in it. So I'll bring in a little bit more there. That comes off there. It's so hard not to be structured when I'm doing this. Like, I want to go yes, no, yes, no. I've gone no, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes, no. See, that's the way my brain is, which is why I wanted to hang fire until now, so I can go which ones do need something. Like this one definitely needs something. So let's put those on there again. Actually, if I do this side, it might carry that theme across. So it gives the illusion that it's gone between the two boxes. Okay, I quite like that. This one feels like it needs something at the top. Now, of course, with these sticky notes, you could always let them dry and then just put them in a box and use them for the same process every time you do something like this. I think we might be finished, actually. I'm looking at this. I think I'd like just a little tiny bit down there. And we're talking a little tiny bit, so let's just be brave about this and do it that way. 3, that was cool. Okay, I think we're there. This keeps calling to me, but I don't know that I want to put anything into it. Maybe I do. Just a hint of. I can see I'm going to end up putting something in every one of them, aren't I? But you know, I don't need to. Right, I'm going to pause you one more time, clear up the decks. I'm going to come in with my thin marker and I'm going to go around the edges of these again. I might see whether I can wipe that off, actually. I've got a feeling I've got to remember that's water soluble, so I might be able to lift that line out because that's going to really annoy me. I don't mind the lines that go all over the place, but that one really does annoy me. So, and here we are finished. I went round and put the lines in again. I tried to remove this piece here, but you know what? It's not perfect. It was never meant to be perfect. What it has taught me is to be a little more careful. I don't mind going over the edges of the lines occasionally with the colour and that, but that was quite an exaggerated swipe with the pencil that I should probably have been more careful with. Also here, and that's just my neatness wanting to play fair. Well, that's not as dry as I thought it was. However, am I pleased with it? I'm pleased with the lessons it's taught me. It's taught me that if I persist at something, I can get better at it. This is better than my last attempt. There are things I like about it. I like the fact that I worked with a limited palette. I like the fact I did stamping. I like the addition of tissue, although I could use napkin in the future, or I could stamp onto gift wrap tissue or wet strength tissue and put it on here. I do like having a template to put them down with because even though I'm trying to be more loose, and this is obviously more loose, I do like the fact that they are evenly spaced within reason. So hopefully you enjoyed that. You will see this again. Next time I will have done the covers. I'm going to use my painty pages to collage the covers, and then this journal will be a forever journal. I'm happy with that. I think I have lots of room to improve, but on the whole, I like that. So thank you for tolerating my dithering around through this, and thank you for being on the journey. And if you spent all the time all the way to the end, hopefully you might have taken something from this. Next time, maybe I won't do squares, I'll do rectangles, and the following time maybe I'll do squares mixed with rectangles. I don't know. The world is my oyster, as they say. So I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.